At Thanksgiving dinner, my husband's phone lit up. A message read, "I can't wait to see you tonight." My sister-in-law smirked, "Just ignore it." My mother-in-law said, "Men have needs." My hands trembled as I smiled, "Then let's all see who he's meeting." When I AirPlayed his messages on the TV, the room went silent. Thanksgiving has always been a cornerstone in our family, a day steeped in tradition, warmth, and togetherness. This year, we gathered at my mother-in-law Evelyn's historic home in Charleston, South Carolina. The house, with its antebellum architecture and sprawling verandas, stood as a testament to the city's rich history. Inside, the scent of roasted turkey mingled with the subtle aroma of Evelyn's cherished antique wood furniture, creating an ambience of nostalgic comfort. Family members filled the rooms, their laughter and conversations weaving a tapestry of familial bonds. Children played near the grand staircase, their giggles echoing off the high ceilings adorned with intricate crown molding. The dining room was a spectacle in itself. Evelyn had outdone herself. The long mahogany table was set with fine china, crystal glasses, and silverware that had been in the family for generations. A centerpiece of autumnal flowers and candles cast a warm glow, reflecting off the polished surfaces. As everyone settled into their seats, the clinking of glasses and the soft murmur of grace being said set the tone for the meal. Mark, my husband of 10 years, sat to my right, his phone placed face up beside his plate, a habit he'd developed over the years. Amid the clatter of serving spoons and the passing of dishes, his phone screen illuminated, drawing my attention. A message previewed, "I can't wait to see you tonight." Time seemed to halt. The words blurred as a surge of confusion and dread washed over me. I glanced at Mark, who appeared engrossed in a conversation with his brother, unaware of the message that had just appeared. Before I could process further, Jessica, my sister-in-law seated across from me, leaned in slightly, her lips curving into a smirk. "Just ignore it," she whispered, her tone laced with insinuation. Her casual dismissal sent a jolt through me. My gaze shifted to Evelyn at the head of the table. She met my eyes with a serene expression and, in her characteristic composed manner, said, "Men have needs." The room's warmth turned stifling. My heart pounded in my chest, a cacophony drowning out the ambient sounds of the dinner. My hands trembled slightly as I reached for my wine glass, attempting to mask the turmoil brewing within. With a forced smile, I set the glass down and spoke, my voice steady but cold. "Then let's all see who he's meeting." A hush fell over the table. Conversation ceased, and all eyes turned toward us. Mark's expression shifted from jovial to bewildered as he followed my gaze to his phone. Before he could react, I picked up the device, my fingers deftly navigating to his messages. With a few swipes, I activated the screen mirroring function, casting his phone's display onto the large flat-screen TV mounted on the adjacent wall. The television flickered to life, and there, in stark clarity, was a series of messages from a contact labeled Samantha. The most recent one, the catalyst of this revelation, read, "Can't wait to see you tonight. I'll wear that dress you like." The room's silence deepened, thick with tension and unspoken words. Mark's face drained of color, his mouth opening and closing as if searching for an explanation that wouldn't come. Jessica's smirk faded, replaced by a mask of feigned shock. Evelyn's composed facade remained, though a flicker of discomfort crossed her features. I turned to Mark, my eyes locking onto his. "Who is Samantha?" I demanded, my voice slicing through the oppressive quiet. He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing nervously. She's just a friend from work," he stammered. "A friend who sends you messages like this? Who plans to meet you tonight?" My voice rose, the betrayal seeping through each word. He glanced around the table, perhaps seeking support or an escape. Finding none, he sighed, "It's not what it looks like." Evelyn interjected softly, "Dear, sometimes it's best not to dig too deep. Men have their moments, but family is what matters." Her words felt like a slap. I turned to her, incredulous. Family is built on trust. And right now, that trust is shattered. Jessica, ever the peacemaker on the surface but with undertones of condescension, added, "Maybe we should all take a breath. This isn't the time or place. I shot her a sharp look. When would be the right time, Jessica? After he's met her? After he's lied to me again? The weight of the situation pressed heavily on everyone. My father-in-law shifted uncomfortably, the children sensed the gravity and grew quiet, their innocent eyes darting between the adults. Taking a deep breath, I tried to steady the whirlwind inside me. Mark, I need honesty. How long has this been going on? He hesitated, then murmured, a few months. The admission was a dagger to my heart. Months. While I had been living our life, trusting him, he had been weaving a web of deceit. Tears threatened to spill, but I blinked them back, refusing to show vulnerability in this moment. I think it's best if I leave, I said, pushing back my chair. Evelyn reached out, her voice gentle but firm. Please, let's not make hasty decisions. Think of the children. I met her gaze, my resolve unwavering. I am thinking of them. They deserve to see what self-respect looks like. Gathering my belongings, I turned to Mark. We'll talk later. But right now, I need space. He nodded, shame evident in his posture. As I walked out of the house, the cool Charleston air hit me, a stark contrast to the suffocating atmosphere inside. The historic streets, usually a source of comfort, now felt foreign and cold. I didn't know what the future held, but one thing was clear: I deserved honesty, respect, and love. And I would find a way to reclaim them. I didn't go home that night. I checked into a hotel off King Street, nothing fancy, just something clean, quiet, and far from Evelyn's perfect Thanksgiving table. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wallpaper, still half waiting for someone to call and tell me it was all some twisted misunderstanding. But no call came. Instead, around 11:30 p.m., Mark texted, "I'm sorry. Can we talk?" I didn't reply. The next morning, I woke up to a different kind of shock. A message from a number I didn't recognize: "You deserve to know the full truth. Call me." Attached was a photo. Blurry, dark, but familiar enough. It was Mark. Shirt off. His arm around a woman I didn't recognize. They were standing outside a motel. Not a hotel. A motel. I stared at it for a long time, then finally replied, "Who is this?" No answer came for hours. When it finally did, I was sitting at a cafe near the waterfront, nursing a coffee I wasn't drinking. The reply read, "I'm the girlfriend." Or, was. I didn't know he was married until yesterday. I felt like the ground dropped from beneath me. That night, I confronted Mark. I told him about the photo. About the message. About the woman. His face crumbled. No excuses this time. He sat across from me at the hotel lobby, his hands shaking. "It started at work," he said. "We were just talking at first, I swear. Then things escalated." Escalated? I repeated, my voice flat. "That's the word you're going with?" She said she was single. "She didn't know about you until yesterday when you aired it all out on TV." "Right," I said, standing. "Because I'm the one who ruined things by telling the truth." He didn't even fight it. But the worst wasn't over. The next morning, I got another text. Same number. "There's something else." "What now?" "You should check with Jessica." Jessica. My sister-in-law. The one who smirked at dinner. The one who told me to ignore it. I stared at the message. "Check what with Jessica?" I asked. The reply made my stomach twist. "Ask her how long she's known. Or better yet, ask her why she told Mark he should go for it." I froze. I read it 5 times over. And then I remembered Thanksgiving dinner. That moment when I picked up the phone and saw the message. The look Jessica gave me. That strange smirk, not nervous, not shocked, almost like satisfaction. Like she wanted me to find out. So I called her. Straight to voicemail. Then I texted, "We need to talk. I know everything." This time, the reply came fast. "Come over. But you won't like what I have to say." That evening, I went to Jessica's apartment. She opened the door like she'd been expecting a storm. No hug. No hello. Just turned around and walked to the kitchen. "You want wine?" she asked. No, she poured herself a glass anyway. I cut straight to the point. "How long have you known about Samantha?" She didn't even flinch. "Since the summer." My jaw clenched. "And you didn't think to tell me?" She turned, her eyes cold. "Why would I? It wasn't my place. You sat at dinner next to me. You saw that message and told me to ignore it." "Why?" She took a sip, then smiled. "Because I wanted this to happen." "What?" "I'm tired of pretending, okay?" Her voice cracked a little. "You think this family's perfect. You and Mark with your stupid holiday cards and your matching pajamas. Meanwhile, I've been the one holding the family together while you just play house." I stared at her, stunned. "You think Evelyn didn't know?" "She knew too. She's known about Mark's crap for years." The words hit me like a slap. "You think she meant it when she said men have needs like it was casual?" Jessica went on. "No. She meant your man. Your marriage. This family always protects the men." I left that apartment shaking. Everything felt like a lie. Mark. His affair. Jessica. Evelyn. The holiday. The home. The family. And I had a feeling this was just the surface. Because now I had a name. Samantha. And a motel. And maybe, one more thing worth checking. His work. Because if the affair started there, maybe she wasn't the only one. I spent the next day driving past Mark's office building more times than I want to admit. It was a glass front, modern thing in North Charleston, tucked between a Pilates studio and a sandwich shop. Nothing special. But it suddenly felt like the epicenter of everything that had gone wrong. I didn't even know what I was looking for. Samantha's car? Some dramatic confrontation in the parking lot? I just needed answers. Something concrete. Something I could hold in my hand and say, "This is why everything fell apart." I didn't get that. What I got instead was worse. Later that night, as I was half-heartedly scrolling through Facebook, a photo popped up. It was a tagged picture. Someone from Mark's office had uploaded a group photo from their annual retreat in Asheville 2 months ago. Everyone was smiling, standing in front of a log cabin in flannel shirts, holding mugs like a damn Hallmark movie. And there, standing close to Mark, her hand slightly resting on his back, was Jessica. My sister-in-law. In a photo from his work trip. My heart dropped. I zoomed in. It was her. Her smile. Her necklace. The one with the tiny J she always wore. I stared at it for a full minute before I started shaking. Why was Jessica at Mark's company retreat? I called the woman, Samantha. I still had her number saved. She answered after 2 rings, her voice quiet. "I didn't think you'd call again." "I have one question," I said, my voice tight. "Have you ever met Jessica?" There was a pause. "Yes. Once." "Where?" "At the office." Another pause. "She dropped by last summer. Said she was there to take Mark to lunch. But, the way she looked at me, it was weird." "Weird how?" "She looked me up and down like I was garbage. Like I was a problem." I clenched my jaw. "And you're sure it was her?" "I don't forget faces." I showed up at Evelyn's house the next morning without calling. She opened the door in a silk robe, her hair still pinned in curlers. "Can we talk?" I asked. She didn't even hesitate. "Of course." We sat in the parlor, same room where Thanksgiving dinner ended with a televised cheating scandal. Evelyn poured herself a cup of tea, as calm as if I'd just stopped by to gossip about neighbors. I didn't waste time. I laid it out. Samantha says Jessica came to Mark's office last summer. Evelyn didn't blink. And she was at his company retreat. Still nothing. She's not just your daughter-in-law, Evelyn. She's part of this. All of it. Evelyn looked at me, and for the first time, her voice wasn't sweet. It was tired. I tried to keep the peace, she said. Jessica told me everything. I begged her not to interfere. But she said she was tired of watching Mark ruin your life behind your back. She said if you wouldn't leave him, she'd give you a reason. Wait, I said, my pulse racing. You knew? I knew about Samantha. And another woman before her. Another, my voice caught. What other woman? Evelyn set down her tea with a clink. A woman named Tara. 2019, they met at a conference in Miami. I caught Mark sneaking out during your cousin's wedding. That's how I knew. I was speechless. Evelyn sighed. I told him if he kept it up, it would come back to haunt him. Jessica decided to make sure it did. I left her house feeling like I'd fallen through the floor of everything I believed in. Mark hadn't just cheated. He had repeatedly cheated. And Jessica, she hadn't warned me out of love. She hadn't stepped in to save me. She'd waited. Watched. And then dropped a match. But something still didn't add up. If Jessica hated Mark so much, why had she gone to the company retreat? Why had she touched his back like that? Why smile for that photo? So I drove to the motel from the photo. It was off a quiet road, nothing special, just a faded sign and a flickering vending machine near the office. I asked the guy at the desk if he remembered seeing a man like Mark. I showed him a photo. He glanced at it, nodded. Yeah, room 12. Comes in once or twice a month. Same woman every time. Samantha? He hesitated. No. That wasn't her name. My stomach turned. Do you remember what she looked like? He shrugged. Dark hair. Curvy. High heels. Looked like she knew what she was doing. Did she wear a necklace? He looked confused, but then nodded slowly. Yeah, little gold letter. J or something. I felt my knees weaken. There was no more guessing. Jessica hadn't just helped expose Mark. She had been sleeping with him too. I drove straight to Jessica's condo. No calls. No texts. Just rage, confusion, and that sick, sinking feeling that kept crawling deeper into my gut. I parked the car crooked in her driveway, climbed the steps two at a time, and pounded on the door like I was trying to break it down. She opened it in a robe, again. Like nothing in the world was wrong. You lied to me, I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it cut. Her face didn't even twitch. About what this time? The motel. Room 12. You've been there. With him. She paused, blinked once. Then, like it was nothing, she let out a little laugh. Took you long enough. It was like all the air left the room. You slept with my husband? She shrugged, stepping back inside. Don't act so shocked. You knew what kind of man he was. I just didn't have to pretend anymore. Why? My voice cracked. You hate him. I do, she said flatly. But I hate you more. The words landed like a slap. What did I ever do to you? Jessica leaned against the counter, sipping her wine like we weren't unraveling in real time. You walked into this family like you belonged. Like you were better than us. Mark was the golden boy. You were the golden wife. And me? Just Evelyn's spare daughter-in-law. Always on the sidelines. Always watching. You think you're so perfect. I took a shaky step back. So you decided to destroy me? I decided to wake you up. I couldn't breathe. I felt like screaming, crying, throwing something, anything. But all I could do was stare. And Mark? I asked, my voice barely there. Was it revenge for him too? Jessica's smile faded. She looked away. It wasn't about him. Not really. He was just convenient. I don't remember walking out. I just remember being back in my car, hands on the steering wheel, vision blurred with tears. Somewhere in my head, I knew this wasn't just about Mark. Or even Jessica. This was about every lie. Every time I looked the other way. Every time Evelyn said, "Men have needs," and I bit my tongue. Every time someone dismissed my gut feeling and I let them. But I still had one more move left. I invited everyone to brunch. Yes. Brunch. Evelyn. Jessica. Mark. Even Mark's brother and his wife, who had been uncomfortably quiet since Thanksgiving. We met at a nice restaurant downtown, one with white tablecloths and quiet piano music. The kind of place Evelyn liked to show off in. Mark looked tired. Jessica wore sunglasses. Evelyn wore pearls. I waited until we had ordered, until the mimosas hit the table, until the small talk started rolling. Then I cleared my throat, stood up, and placed my phone on the table. I think everyone should hear this. I pressed play on a recording. Jessica's voice filled the air. You knew what kind of man he was. I just didn't have to pretend anymore. I do. But I hate you more. He was just convenient. The table went dead quiet. A fork dropped. Mark stared at Jessica like he'd never seen her before. Evelyn whispered, "What is this?" Jessica snatched off her sunglasses, glaring at me. "You recorded me?" "Yes," I said. "Because no one believes women unless there's proof." Mark finally spoke. "You slept with her?" His voice was hoarse. Jessica didn't deny it. Evelyn looked like someone had slapped her. "This family is falling apart," she said softly. "No," I corrected. "This family has been broken. You just didn't want anyone to name it out loud." Jessica stormed out first. Mark tried to follow her, but I stopped him. "Don't," I said. "Just don't." He sat down. For the first time, his face held nothing. Not guilt. Not defense. Just nothing. "I didn't know," he said. "You didn't want to." He lowered his head. "I've ruined everything." "No," I said. "You ruined me. But I'll rebuild." In the days that followed, the silence from Mark was deafening. Jessica moved out of state. No apology. No explanation. Just gone. Evelyn sent a letter. Handwritten. Full of sad lines like, "I never meant for things to go this far and I only wanted to keep the family together." I didn't reply. I started going to therapy. Alone. For now. I filed for divorce. Mark didn't fight it. People talk. Neighbors whisper. Some friends stayed, some didn't. But I stayed with myself. I look back now and wonder, were there signs in the beginning? Probably. But love makes you deaf, and tradition makes you blind. You build a life, brick by brick, and you don't see the cracks until the whole thing falls in on you. I'm not okay. But I'm not destroyed either. I'm rebuilding, brick by brick, again. But this time, the foundation is mine. Just mine.